Hello, my name is Evangeline Myler. This is the CCR for Aice Media Studies Opening Sequence Project. The movie we created was titled Unforgiven and was in the crime action genre. I will start off with how my project uses or challenges conventions. Our movie both follows and challenges the typical conventions of this genre. Since our video was crime action, we wanted to make sure the majority was fast-paced, quick editing, which gave viewers a heart-racing feeling. Many of the clips on screen were only there for a second or less to make viewers feel a sense of panic and urgency. To further the action convention and make it less choppy, I added heartbeat sounds, as you can hear here. We combated the same convention in our opening also by making longer scenes that would not typically be in an action sequence. This was to give information to the viewers and form a plot. We did this in two places during opening. First, in the very beginning to show why there was conflict, and later to give more information and clarify what the viewers just saw. Many times action movies sacrifice plot to make a quick and cool looking scene, and we wanted to make sure that that did not happen. We also did many things to follow the crime conventions. For example, camera angles and shots. The crime genre is filled with high and low angles, and we wanted to make sure to go out of our way to fill the opening with these angles. And one of the most identifiable shots in crime is the over the shoulder, which we also made sure to use. We used conventions of not just genres, but also opening sequences for many of our title placements. For example, the more basic titles take up smaller portions of the screen, while major ones like name of the movie take up more time and the full screen. Lastly, the music. Behind me you can hear a clip of the music we used for our video. It increasingly gets more fast-paced and suspenseful, which also gives the heart-racing effect that we wanted. We combined typical conventions with unique additions to the point where the genre is identifiable, but the opening sequence itself is unique. The target audience of our video is teenagers and adolescents. Teens are formable and like action-packed movies. It is nationally based but can relate globally. Our video represents teenage gang and gun violence. America has a growing problem with both of these issues. According to Law Center Giffords, an average of 100 Americans are killed every day with guns, and 274 are injured. In 2017, gun deaths reached their highest level in at least 40 years. This is an ongoing problem that needs more light to shine on the issue, and more movies need to show the consequences for people who commit a crime. It represents the social group of teens by casting the main actors as teenagers. In the beginning, two kids are having an argument that elevates into one getting shot and ultimately dying. It is later revealed that it was gang-related violence. The video also shows the consequences by getting caught by the police. The media has a major influence on kids and what they think, so by simply acknowledging that there are consequences for their action has a positive effect. We tried multiple video engaging techniques, one being physical suturing, which is where you make an audience member feel like they're in the movie. I did this by using a point of view shot, or a POV. The POV shot was near the end. It was where a police officer capturing the main character, as you can see here.
Freeze! Hands in the air.
We also made it fast-paced and eye-catching in order to make people stay interested and adrenaline-filling. Also, of course, we tried to make it entertaining. Not only did we make it action-packed, but we attempted to make a plot that can also engage in the audience. Another tactic we used was leaving on a cliffhanger. The final few seconds show the whole opening sequence rewinding, making the audience infer a flashback is going to happen. This can allow for the imagination of the audience to infer what happened that got the main character in this situation. By giving the audience thinking about what happened, it makes them more invested and interested. It would most likely be distributed through things such as free film festivals and free services because we have an extremely low budget. If we had more money or movie increasingly grows further, it could be distributed through a streaming service. These services are becoming increasingly more popular and would be a good option. Many streaming services also show movies internationally, but this movie is more targeted towards Americans. so ideally it would be distributed more heavily nationwide. Other options would be to work with an international film distributor such as Warner Bros. Company. Warner Bros. Work under a conglomerate that owns the streaming services such as HBO and the CW. If we use both Warner Bros. And HBO, it would be synergy. My editing, research, and planning have gotten better. I tracked all my steps through blogging, which made it much easier to look back at my planning and research during the filming process. The research allowed me to make educated decisions when it came to planning and deciding my movie. An example of how I planned was researching the conventions of different genres and the conventions of movies in my genre. That way, when I planned, I was able to make my video fit the conventions, but be unique. I was much more thorough when planning. When I wrote my storyboard with my classmate, I was able to add shots and angles that are typically in my genre. I also made a shooting script, sound script, and title design plan for the very first time. I found these to be very helpful while writing the storyboard and while filming. We got more creative while filming. For example, we got a trunk shot with a trash can, and you can see how we did it here. We also got other unique shots such as an extreme high angle. We probably would not have thought to get these shots at the beginning of the year. I also tried new editing techniques that I thought turned out pretty cool, mainly throughout the titles. The first two titles are the production studio and company. I first edited a white logo for both titles, then I added a metallic effect in After Effects. I also added the name title to drip almost like dripping blood. This was made to follow the scene where the main character shoots somebody, so they fit pretty well. Another title I thought developed my editing skills was this one. It was fun to edit and gave important information that helped move the plot. I did not just improve my title editing, but I tried a new flashback effect. The flashback scene, I opened a new sequence in Adobe Premiere, which is where I edited the bulk of my video. And I added 2 copies of the whole video and sped up the second version, so it was only a few seconds long. I then added a Gaussian blur in order to make a readable title. Overall, I think that editing is my favorite part of the production process. I utilized a plethora of technology, specifically hardware and software in this project. We originally filmed most of our scenes on the school camera, tripod, and SD card to store what we filmed. This was very useful when it came to shots that needed a steady camera. This allowed for a much easier editing process. We also used our phones to film other scenes when we were not able to rent out a school camera. The phone was much better at lower lit shots, and most of our movie was at night, so we used things like flashlights in order to make sure viewers could see what was happening in the scenes. For example, the scene where the actor wipes the fake gun and throws it out. We used a flashlight because the initial scene was too dark. The additional light highlighted the gun and made it easier for audience members to understand what had happened. Throughout the whole process, we used computers and the internet to track and blog our process. As I said previously, I used many websites to research my project. We sadly were not able to reshoot due to the coronavirus. We decided it would be safer for everyone if we worked with the footage we had. I did all of the editing in my group, and I used Adobe Photoshop, Premiere, and After Effects. Adobe Photoshop and After Effects were only used for the title editing in order to customize the titles, making the titles unique and eye-catching. That was the goal for me. For the bulk of the editing, I used Premiere. This is where I rearranged the clips and edited the audio. I did not mess with the audio much, I simply overlaid music and added other sound effects, such as heartbeats, like I said earlier. I make sure to credit the places I got audio in the previous block. We use things such as flash drives and Google Drive in order to transport to and from peer review. Other softwares that I used was voice memos in order to catch certain sounds that I used for editing. Even though we had setbacks, such as the coronavirus, we still were able to get a final project that looks pretty good.